Josh Getzoff might stop in there on a Penguins roadie. He joins us, the television voice of the Penguins. Hey, Josh, welcome back to the RP Show. And can I ask you first what I'm dying to know? How was your summer, bro? What'd you get up to?
Yeah, well, good to be back with you, Rod. I know that we're getting closer to hockey season if you and I are chatting, so I'll take that. It's been a busy summer. My wife and I welcomed our second son in the beginning of July, so it's been. Thank you. We'll get some clicks in there. It's been a busy month and a half, but an exciting time also, just seeing our family grow. So that's been kind of my job, so to speak, over the last month and a half, and then I'll continue that job obviously into hockey season.
Good for you, man. Timed that perfectly. That would have been horrific being on the road with a baby coming. You really did. That worked out well. Everything works out for the best. Josh, I got to ask you this. Now, the second burning question for me. I got my Metropolitan predictions coming up next hour. Can you please tell me how or why I should believe the Penguins will be in the playoffs in 2024-25?
Well, it's definitely a big if they will be in the playoffs, Rod. I think that's the fair thing to say as far as their roster construction is concerned, because that's how I look at this team. I look at this team as a lot of what ifs. And, you know, to their credit, if half of those what ifs hit, then maybe they are in the playoff picture. But if half of them are in the wrong direction, they might be out of it. And by that, I mean, okay, so you go out and you add some more depth in your bottom six. What if Kevin Hayes has a productive role in the bottom six? What if he gives you 15 to 20 goals and 40 points? What if Alex Nedeljkovic is still the same goalie as he was last year and continues to ride that momentum into this season? What if you get another healthy season, all 82 games from Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin? Throw Erik Karlsson in there as well. He played all 82 last year. So those are kind of the things that are looming. I mean, when you look at the last 2 years and you think about the fact that the Penguins missed the playoffs, Sidney Crosby, who was unbelievable in both of those seasons, played every game. You know, father time stops for no one. We know that cliche, but the reality is that it could potentially come to pass this season in the sense that he's been healthy. Evgeny Malkin's been healthy. And now you're asking them to do it again in a year that really it's going to be interesting to see how they kind of juggle that line of, as Kyle Dubas has said multiple times, he doesn't want to call it a rebuild. He doesn't even want to call it a retool. He's just trying to put this team in a position where they can contend in quick succession by adding some younger players and getting themselves back into the upper echelon of the Eastern Conference and thus the National Hockey League. So will they make the playoffs? It's a massive if. I think that they have a team that when you look at the last couple of years, they missed by a couple points last year. They missed by a point 2 years ago. Their power play was horrendously bad last season, and probably was the reason they stopped. They didn't make the postseason. So I look at that as far as those areas being potential problems that could be fixed and put themselves into the Stanley Cup playoffs. But it's a big hill to climb because the Metro is no joke.
Well, going in, at least having a chance to make the playoffs going into the season it's better than nothing. I've been with teams where you know you don't have a chance, and that sucks.
Exactly.
I got to ask you that. How difficult was it for the team to trade away Braden Yager?
Yeah, well, listen, this is a guy that personally I've gotten to know the last couple of years because he's been the top prospect. He's been the first round pick of Kyle Dubas when he took over last summer. And really, since he was drafted, his stock has risen even more. He had great success, as you know, with the Canadian national team and World Juniors and playing abroad. He's done a great job there with Moose Jaw, got them to the Memorial Cup, which was impressive as well. And he was a huge performer for that team in doing so. So I think that there was a lot of excitement that, okay, this kid is, one, a center. And you look at the Penguins depth chart, obviously the two spots at the top have been held for the last 2 decades, but eventually those spots are going to open up. And there was the thought that this guy potentially would be able to move up in there and have some success in those roles. What the other side of it is, though, is Braden Yager is still maybe a full year away from being a full-time NHLer. I think there's a chance he could have gotten a look this year. I think it was a small chance, but it wasn't going to really happen for him till next year. The Penguins, if they want to have any kind of chance to get back into the playoffs, as we talked about, they can't wait till next year. They have to figure out a way to make things work as they are right now. So I look at these two guys. I mean, not just the sense that McGroarty and Yeager were both the 14th overall picks in back-to-back years, but they're both similar kind of prospects in the sense that I think a lot of people have high expectations for them. But Rutger, is a guy that can go into this Penguins lineup this year. He will get a chance to be a competitive forward as far as a top six type player. I really believe that this year, and maybe as early as right in the beginning of the season. And it gives the Penguins something that, quite honestly, Rod, I don't remember the last time that they had a young guy that's big, that plays with an edge, and gives them a jolt in their prospect pool from an energy and excitement in the fan base perspective that, like I said, I mean, you go back to Jake Gensel, you go back to those kind of guys coming out. That's a long time ago when you think about it, 7, 8, 9 years ago. And that hasn't been really a feeling here since as far as prospects are concerned. So people are excited about McGroarty. It stinks they had to give up Yeager, but I think you understand why when you see who's coming over.
Just looking over the fence at New Jersey, can you make sense of something for me, please? You've seen the odds, I think, the futures, and NHL Network has them in the top 5 favorites to win the Stanley Cup. Josh, they finished 7th out of 8 teams last year in the Met. I get they got a new coach. I get they got a great goalie. Is that enough of at 2 very key spots? But what do you expect as big of a jump as everybody else seems to?
I like their team. Yeah, I think last year was a classic example, and I think a lot of people in the Metro, I'm not going to sit here and say we knew they were going to be 7th in the division, but to have the year they had 2 years ago, where no one really sees it coming, you got a lot of young players. The overall arching thought around the league, and it's probably, I'm sure, in New Jersey, was this team's ready to take the next step. It's the only logical thing you'd think when they have a run like that. But the other side of it is they're a young team. You got to go through some ups and downs as a core. They have a great team and they have a great core. And they've been building that for a long time. Tom Fitzgerald's done a phenomenal job of building that out. And I really like a couple of the signings he's made this summer in the sense of guys like Brett Pesce, guys like Brennan Dillon, guys like Stefan Nason coming back over from Carolina. And obviously acquiring Markstrom in the trade gives them that goaltender that they haven't had the last couple of seasons. But there are a couple things last year that when you look back on it that I really believe may have held them back. And at first it's Dougie Hamilton. He was hurt so much of the season. That guy is unreal. And I mean, we know in Pittsburgh, he torches the Penguins, but he's been unbelievable for the Devils since signing that mega deal a couple of years back. And the other is Jack Hughes. He was banged up last year. He admitted it after the season. He played through injuries and he still was a dominant player and an all-star. And I think, when you think about American-born players, this kid has a chance to be one of the greatest of all time when it's all said and done. He's been that good when he's been healthy for New Jersey here the last couple seasons. So I think that is kind of why people are thinking that the supplemental pieces, the necessary piece with the goaltender, and then, of course, the most important thing that you can't control, the health of some of those big players in New Jersey, probably has them thinking big going back into this year.
I guess we'll see. Josh, always fun chatting hockey with you. Have a great season. Congrats on the addition. I'll see you at Sunrise.
All right, Rob, looking forward to it. See you down there.
Thank you, buddy. Josh Getzoff, the television voice of the Pittsburgh Penguins.